Race of the week is from Churchill Downs beneath the Twin Spires. It's the Grade 3 Matt Winn with a purse of $150,000. These are some of the notes and thoughts as I handicap this race. And first off, it's a field of 7, so we should have a fairly honest pace and the race flow. Remember, I'm a big believer when you have 4 and 5 and 6 horse fields, a lot of times you kind of get false pace scenarios, and you really have to evaluate the results of those type of races. So as long as we stay at a field of 7, I think we've got a good mix of speed and some horses that like to get a little bit of cover, and they should be able to make their run. Let's start with the rail. Remember, hit subscribe and you'll get notified of all new videos, or ring the bell as we have more videos up. Already the Fleur de Lis has been handicapped from Churchill Downs and the Stephen Foster. We're going to start off with Limonite. Now, this horse is a horse who I expected big things from this spring. Back in February, I thought he might be kind of a contender in the Risen Star in the Louisiana Derby, and he just didn't fire. But he finally kind of put it together on May 4th at Churchill Downs. He picked up a nice win, rallying from behind. Now, he is a stone-cold closer, and not just a closer that likes to run from middle of the pack. He really likes to be in 8th, 9th, 10th place early, one of the last 2-3 horses in the field, and then kind of make a run going into the turn to put himself into position. Now, he picked up a nose victory in the last race. Buyer speed figure came back in 86, which was a 10-point improvement. He's had 7 lifetime starts. He does have a win at Churchill Downs, and he ran 3rd in a Grade 2 last year in the Kentucky Jockey Gold Cup. So, this is a type of horse that if he were to win this race, he could be in a lot of these Midsummer Derbies, West Virginia Derby. If he wins it impressively, maybe gets a 95. I think somebody out of here probably is going to start thinking Jim Dandy or Travers, especially with some of the bigger trainers that do go to those meets. So Limonite's a contender. He is a closer. He's going to need a pace. So if you don't see a lot of pace in this race when you're handicapping it, you may not want to put Limonite as one of your top contenders. Now, Signalman, this is another horse. I had big hopes for him coming into this year. I thought he ran okay in the Fountain of Youth. He ran evenly, and it seemed like a prep race. It had been a while since he had run, since November. But then he kind of was at the rail in the bluegrass. He chased the speed all the way around. Now, he was kind of taken out of his running style that day. He's more of a mid-pack closer, and he was propping the pace because there was a little bit of a speed bias. He was at the rail, and he kind of ran evenly all the way around, but I think it was not the running style that he normally is going to run. Then in the Preakness, he just didn't fire. Not sure if there was any real visible excuses from a race watching standpoint. He just didn't run a lick. But a few horses didn't really take to that track that day on Preakness. It was a very fast track, and there was a little bit of an inside bias. As we've seen, a few of those horses that had good trips on that day have not come back and ran well. So Signalman, I think, is a live contender here. I think they're putting him purposely to drop him in class. I think they definitely want to see if he's got any type of form left from last year as a 2-year-old, and then they'll kind of reevaluate. Even with the last 2 races, he's still got 6 in-the-money finishes and 8 lifetime starts, and he does have a win at Churchill Downs. So he's a live contender. And Nolo Contesto ships in from out west. John Sadler becoming the man that can ship from out west and win. He won with Catalina Cruiser. He won with Accelerate last year, starting to get some of these horses to ship in the Midwest. Not a lot of races out west for him to compete in, and I think Nolo Contesto is a live contender here. I really liked him a lot in the Santa Anita Derby. It was 16-1 against Roadster. He lost to Roadster both his last 2 races. I think this is a key race for Nolo Contesto. If he steps it up, I think you could see him in the Jim Dandy or the Travers or the Haskell. If he regresses, then maybe they make him more of a 7-furlong or miler, maybe even go to the turf. He's got a little bit of turf breeding in his pedigree. Nolo Contesto is my top selection. I think he can press the pace. I like the fact that the truth, Joel Rosario, is in the saddle. And Nolo Contesto, if you're handicapping him, he had a small field both the last 2 races. I think he's another horse that's going to like a 7-8 horse field. So I think he's going to improve in this spot. Knicks Go. This is a horse that's regressed. He peaked last year as a 2-year-old. He won the Keeneland Futurity at 70-1, ran 2nd in the Breeders' Cup at 40-1. But he has regressed significantly this year. His speed has not progressed, and he can't clear the field anymore, and he really can't come from behind the pace. So unless he reverses form, I just don't see him picking up the pieces here in this spot. So Knicks Go is kind of a toss for me, unless you can see him going back to that 2-year-old form. Proverb, nice win the last time at Oaklawn Park, 3 races back in a maiden race. Then he ran against Warriors Charge, and that was a strong race by Warriors Charge at Oaklawn. So that was actually above average effort. An 86 Beyer speed figure in his last race. I think he's going to be one of the favorites in this spot, and he does have a live chance. He made his move a little bit too soon. I think he kind of just cleared off a little bit too much in that last race and then was caught by Laughing Fox from behind. So Proverb, a live contender. I think he's about a 3-to-1 odds in this spot. Definitely somebody you might want to take a look at. Watch those races from Oaklawn, and he fits class-wise. But this is a tough race to tell. Even though it's a grade 3, you've got a few horses that have regressed like Knicks Go. You've got a horse with talent like Nolo Contesto. And then you've got horses like Signalman trying to regain that grade 2 form from last year, and you don't know if he really has it. Mr. Money, win by 5 the last time in the Pat Day Mile. The race set up that day. I'm not sure he's as good as he looked that day. He's a son of Golden Sense. There's always going to be concerns with him going a mile and an eighth or longer, but 8.5 furlongs should be right in his wheelhouse. He's in form, probably the favorite. I think if he gets some heat pressure and there's not a real fast pace, I think he's vulnerable, but he's definitely a horse that fits speed figure-wise, and he's coming off a big 5-length win. Probably a little dressed up in that race. Some of the horses just didn't run that day, so I think if he does win, he's more likely to only win by 1 or 2 lengths here as he faces some stronger competition. Armistice Day, Son of Declaration of War. Three races on the synthetic. Last race was on the turf. Now he goes to the dirt. It does seem to be a synthetic and turf pedigree. He's a pace presser, and he's facing a few better horses. He's only got 2 races this year, so I could definitely see a little bit of improvement in him. If you think he can improve, he's definitely the type of horse you can put in the exacta, maybe second behind a horse like Mr. Money, or if you lean towards Signalman, or even a horse like Nolo Contesto, he could definitely be an under horse. I'm not going to use him on top in pick 3s or pick 4s or anything like that. Those are a look at some of the contenders. My top selection is Nolo Contesto. Who do you like? Leave a comment, like, or disagree in the comment section. Hit the subscribe button, and don't forget, we've got the Stephen Foster handicap race video up, and also the Fleur de Lis. It's racing from Churchill Downs underneath the Twin Spires, all part of the Churchill Downs card. And hope you enjoy, and leave a comment or subscribe, as we've got more stakes races coming up next week here on the Derbyologist channel.